Hi, this is Gabe Romero with another edition of The Source Live. We're here in Chular, California today with Hector Rodriguez, Superintendent of Harvesting for Diego, California. Hector, welcome.
Thank you, Gabe.
Can you tell me a little bit about the heat wave that we had and the effects that it had on the crops?
Mainly what it did is the heat there for a couple of days being 100 degrees or over, what it does is it actually wants your lettuce wants to twist. You get some bolting, you get some cores, some cedars wanting to go up a little bit too high. So you've got just different effects coming in from the heat.
So when it comes to harvesting as well, how do they differentiate from what is Andy Boy spec and what is not?
You can see you're probably leaving about 20-30% of the product, and that's basically the stuff that just wasn't able to be picked or harvested, because you can see visually before you even cut it that it's no good. And then the other portion is what you're going to harvest, and that's what you're going to pack.
So we have an example here of what the previous weather has done. Show me some of the effects of it.
Well, Gabe, here we have some of the effects that we had over the weekend with the extreme heat. Obviously, when we started, when we were forecasting this lot, this was pretty, nice and green. Your heat being, over a couple of days being so high up in the hundreds, a lot of our leaf items, which is, our romaine, our green leaf, our red leaves, our butter that obviously are just all leaf, this is the effect that you have, where you just get burned all over. Some other commodities are going to take the heat a lot less.
So does that have an effect on weights as well when you're harvesting? I mean, does it decrease because you're trimming so much of the defect out?
Yeah, you're actually going to have to trim the defect out, and then you're going to also have to let it grow it out. So between trimming and letting it sit longer, see if it'll grow it out. And saying, oh, it's just going to grow it out in a couple of days, that's not the truth, because a lot of the burn is all over the plant. It just doesn't stick to the outside leaves.
So with the previous heat, we see some twisting, we see some bolting, we see some cedar within the heart, correct?
That's right. I mean, you're gonna see some of this, some of these heads that are actually they look fine, no problem, but what the heat actually did is it actually grew the core up higher. And we can see on some of our heads that once you cut them in the middle, split them down the middle, you're gonna actually see how high that core went. I mean, it's almost halfway. You can't have cedar this high or the cores being this high, because it does affect the end consumer, whether they're going to, the restaurants use it for salads or just people wanting to have a salad with this. They're gonna, you're gonna end up losing a good portion of it. So this is the other effect that the heat has.
And will we see that with the younger stuff as it comes on later, or is it just with current harvesting crops?
It'll affect every variety differently. So some of the varieties that weren't tolerant to the heat and they keep getting more heat, this is what they're going to get.
I'm here with John Sharpitsky of Diego, California. John, welcome.
Thank you.
So the previous heat that we just had, obviously it'll take a toll on not only supply but the market as well. Tell me a little bit about the information flow from the field to sales to the customer.
Yeah, and the real key is that educational piece on the communication. And for Hector and his team, they do a phenomenal job with all our commodity managers and within the office to relay a lot of this information, whatever the struggle might be. In this instance, particular instance you're mentioning, the 4 or 5 day heat wave that came through really has made a lot of changes, and those rapid changes are coming on quickly, and we're reacting as fast as possible to pass that information along, understand the scenario ourselves, but also get that to folks like ProAct, ultimately the consumer, and help really everyone understand the gravity of the product and how it might be affected its marketability.
Now, I've already started to see the market starting to transition a little bit, and it's even before that's even heading down to Yuma. What do you foresee for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's made a little quick bump upwards, and we'll continue to see how the effects and yields really are going to drive it. I believe, in talking with some others in the industry, it's affecting everybody up and down the Salinas Valley, and as that supply is shrinking, yields are reducing, it's definitely affecting the market at least a little bit for now. I think the next big hit's going to be local season, and as areas like New Jersey, like Canada, start to reduce their supplies and wrap up their season into the fall, you could really see a large uptick potentially if there's lower yields and supplies out of the Salinas Valley.
John, thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
That's why we partner with D. Rieger Brothers of California to provide us information during times like this. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to ProAct, and we'll see you next time.